I'm going to tell you why now is the best time of year to job search. And if you don't know when now is because you're watching this on a replay 5 months from now, it happens to be Halloween. Now is not a slow time of year, and I'm going to debunk this myth with 8 specific reasons why that is, and there's many, many more, but I only want to spend so much time on making my point, so I'm going to take you through eight reasons why I think this is such a great time and what history has shown me. The other thing we're going to do is, well, I don't want to just tell you it's a good time. I also want to tell you what to do. It's kind of to go from couch duty to job searching and doing it the right way. So we're going to talk about that in the second portion of the show. So great to have everybody. I love our time together. Okay, so as a consulting professional for nearly 18 years, almost till I was 40 years old, and then I opened up Mile Walk, which was an executive recruitment firm, did that back in 2004. In between 2004 and 2019, I ran that at a high velocity. And then about 10 years ago, I opened up the Mile Walk Academy arm of Mile Walk to help individuals, where I now coach individuals year round, every day. So from that experience, I want to draw on what I have noticed and what happens in organizations as they hire. So the first thing I want to mention to you is typically, not always, and I realize not every organization in the world is on a fiscal year that coincides with the calendar year from January to December, but it doesn't even matter if they don't. Even if you work for an organization that runs June to June or August to August or April to April, it makes no difference because November, December, January, and February are very mobile times for employees. And even if your fiscal year doesn't coincide with the calendar year, you still have employees leaving because they're taking jobs with other companies. And you want to make sure you know how mobile people are at this time. You want to grab up all the good people to replace all the people that were leaving. So there's a lot going on. A lot of times in October, companies are planning for the following year. In October, they get together. They look at their budgets for the current year. They look at their projects for the current year. They want to make sure they wrap them up strong. They start planning for the future, for the future year, because it takes time to go through whatever appropriations they need to do, right? Budgets need to be approved by 18 different executives and signed off on and all that nonsense. And so as they start to do this, they realize a number of things. So number one, here's the first thing they realize, because it has to do with their money. So number one, there are huge budget pressures right now to spend the money that was allocated for the current year. How do I know this? Because I got done telling you, I was a technology consultant. Every project that I was on at the end of the year, the client would always say to me, Andy, do you think you could bring some staff on now and then that way we can accelerate the billing so I could use current year dollars? And as a matter of fact, will you send me some invoices for January, the work you're going to do in January? Can you estimate what you're going to bill me and give me that bill now so I can get that all paid for? This happens every year. It's use it or lose it. So they're trying to spend money. So they want to hire people to get them in so they could start spending the money, maybe even next year's money. Maybe they're even borrowing from the future year. So this is going on. That's number one. And the other thing that starts to happen in the wake of this is that I need to be putting the plans together for the next year. I want the people who are going to be running the projects to be here. I need them to be here so that they can plan for what they're going to be running. So a lot of times what's happening is they want to pull in the senior level people that are going to be running the units or running the divisions or running the projects or whatever it is that is going to be happening in the following year that needs to be planned for right now. So there tends to be a huge uptick in senior personnel as well, year in, year out. We would have, as an executive recruiter, we would have clients that would call us frantic in early November because they wanted to hire the people so that they could get them in. So because they were budgeting for the following year and they needed those leaders and we were recruiting them. And sometimes I had clients that would actually pay me right away because they wanted to get it off their books. They said, don't worry if we can't fulfill the search before the end of the year, don't worry about it. If something happens and you don't fulfill the search, we'll roll it into another search for you, but we need to spend the money. True story. There's a huge uptick, especially in senior people, so don't be bashful. The other thing, speaking of recruitment, if I understand that I have a project starting in January and I need people, I can't just think it up and teleport them on January 1st, right? So there's recruitment cycle time. So right now, if it's Halloween, that gives me what? 8 weeks? Some of which you actually are on a holiday. Thanksgiving's in there. You got Christmas in there. You got New Year's in there. You got people who are in and out, key people that need to interview you. And I'm not saying people take 2 months vacation, but they're in and out, kind of mucks with the schedule. So they need to get going and they start to get frantic because if they want the butts in the seats on January 1st or 2nd or 3rd or whatever the Monday is, they need to make sure they're going through their recruitment process, which usually takes a couple of weeks at least. And it could be a lot longer if it's a more senior person. So that's number 3. Number 4, there's always increased turnover. A number of reasons why. Well, you got some people that are retiring, kind of wrapping up. I just sent one of my accountant support people $500 to dinner, a gift certificate. She's retiring. I hate to see her go. I sent her a nice little gift. There's other people around the office that are retiring, right? And we have an aging population, more so than ever. More people are taking retirement than ever before. Some people would say it's not their choice, but just a lot of people are retiring. We have the baby boomers that are retiring, and so but it wouldn't even matter. The other thing is, because this is such a mobile time, surprisingly, there's a lot of people vacating their seats. Sometimes employers are surprised, right? So now they're hurrying up and trying to replace the people. The other thing is, I want you guys to think about this, because a lot of people, they come to me and they say, well, Andy, the company's in a hiring freeze. And I want you to know, whatever you hear about whatever you hear, just remember this. If I have a 1,000-person company and I have a modest 10% turnover, just a modest 10%, some are 20, some are 8, some are 10, but just roll with the math. If I have a 1,000-person company, that means I have to replace 100 people every year just to stay flat. That doesn't even include if I'm growing. If it's 15%, right? That's 150 people. So there are vacancies, and there's a lot of vacancies toward the end of the year, and there's also a lot of vacancies right in January. Why? Because these are the people that are interviewing that are going to take the jobs in January. These are also the people that are pissed because they didn't get their promotion, or they didn't get their raise, or the not getting their bonus or whatever, and they're looking for reasons to leave. And so you just want to make sure that you are active while things are active for whatever reason. So all of these things are contributing factors for why there's a lot of mobility in November and December and January and February. So that's number 4. Number 5, because Coach Andy is only talking to 146 people right now, right? So there's not a lot of people watching Coach Andy. So there's not a lot of people that think this is a high time, right? There's a lot less competition. And so I laugh when I see posts on LinkedIn from people saying, oh, take the time right now, you job searchers. I know job seeking is tough. Take a break. I literally, my skin itches when I see stuff like that, because that's obviously somebody who is trying to be empathetic. But let's face it, all I care about is that you find your job. I'm telling you now, you got less competition. Less competition in the inboxes, probably less competition in the applicant trashing system, which I don't want you to use. But I'm telling you, people think it's a slow time. I understand why they think it's a slow time, but no executive coach, job-seeking coach, executive recruiter, or anybody like that should ever be telling you that this is a slow time. They just haven't been doing the profession very long. So there's a lot less competition. Speaking of the beloved recruiters and hirers, for whatever reason, they relax a little. Wait, they're busy, right? They're trying to recruit, but they tend to be more receptive to talking to people because they're trying for a variety of reasons. Number one, they need to talk to people because they're probably trying to recruit, right? But they also want to take advantage of meeting people now for positions they know that are going to be coming up in a couple of months in January, February, and even in March. By the way, November and December and January and February are not the only months you need to look. I'm just telling you, there just tends to be a lot of mobility during those months. October tends to be a slower month, not slow, just slower than November and December. It's true. Because why? Because companies are planning in October to make sure they finish out the year strong, and then they're planning for the next year. So recruiters tend to be more receptive. Hiring officials tend to be more receptive. As you get a little later in the year, what you will note, for those of you who follow my beloved boss hunting technique, if you don't know what that is, check it out on the channel. But you might get some hiring officials kind of kicking you into the new year. That's fine too, but do not stop. If you roll out of bed and on Christmas morning you want to send some boss hunting messages, this guy's going to tell you it's okay. All right, so that's number 6. Number 7, well, it's a great time to network. I'm having lunches and dinners with buddies I haven't seen in years. And it's just a great time for you not only to do targeted networking. What do I say about networking? I want you to think about where you want to go and then who can get me there. Well, if I want to go to that company, a boss can take me and pull me in. That's a great way to go. Or maybe I have a friend who has a friend at that company. Great, that's a great way to go. But maybe I just have a friend who's well connected and I don't know where that friend can take me, but it's just a good thing to reconnect with that person. Or a colleague I loved but lost touch with. Or old alumni from my favorite company I ever worked at, and I wish I would have stayed in touch with everybody, but I haven't. It is so easy now to say, hey, it's the holidays, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and do a better job of staying in touch with people. I'm calling the top 10 people that are my faves ever. You made the list. Can we get connected? Zoom, coffee, cocktail, lunch, dinner, I don't care. Kids play date in the park. So it's just a great time to reconnect. Now, this reconnecting is just a great excuse now, but keep in mind, targeted networking is better. And when I say targeted networking, I mean, it's where do I want to go and who can take me there? And by design, I'm calling somebody because I know they can connect me. But there are people that you just love. You just don't know where that's going to go. Now is still a great time. I would rather you be active and talking to people. Hey, what do you got going on in your company? What are you hearing in the industry? Right? Where do you think this is going? Well, who do you think are going to be the hot companies? Just have quality conversation. Okay, it's a great thing. Number 7 and number 8 to round out this portion. Well, it is the season. There's a lot of seasonal roles. So whether it's, getting a retail job for the holidays as a part-time job, that's fine, even if that's not your bread and butter or your forte. But there's a lot of part-time projects that people do now to position themselves to start out January and February quickly. So just think about this. There's a heightened number of positions that might be part-time, seasonal, but these part-times could convert into full-times. So eight goodies right there. All right, and there's more, but just think about it. There's budget pressure. I need to use it or lose it. I need leaders to plan for next year. The recruitment cycle time, right? Because we don't teleport our employees into the new job. There's an increased turnover for a variety of reasons. Number 5, low competition. Number 6, recruiters and hirers tend to be more receptive. Number 7, it's a great time to network in general and reconnect with those long lost loving colleagues. And then number 8, make sure you are in seasonal or part-time roles if that's appropriate for you. Okay, that's the first part. So now, can I get a hey in the chat? Do you believe me that this is the high time? I am not kidding you. As an executive recruiter, if I worked November, December, and January, I wouldn't have to work the rest of the year. It's true. It's true. I didn't run my business that way because I want to keep those clients because they had other needs, but financially, I could have made it happen. So let me know Are you with me? Are you with me? If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to click the like button and make sure you subscribe to the station because that always makes me happy. Okay, part 2. So what is it that that you should be doing that's the most effective way to job search? And the one thing that I can tell you is that applying online for jobs is one of the absolute worst ways to actually get a job. Yes, some of you will get a job by applying online to the ATS, which I endearingly call the applicant trashing system. It is an abyss filled with tons and tons of resumes from many, many, and most who are wholly unqualified, but make it more and more difficult for recruiters and hirers and HR people and whoever is farming that system or looking through it to find the jewel that is you. Okay, and the other thing, I would love it if you wrote this down in your books, preferably with a dark colored Sharpie so that you never forget it. Write it on your arm if you need to. Make a tattoo. But I want you to remember this. Systems do not give people jobs. Companies do not give people jobs. People give people jobs. So if that's true, and I'm guessing you would agree with me because it's inarguable, right? Even if you managed to get through the applicant trashing system, you'd still have to talk to a person. And it's not like the company, a robot gives you a job. Somebody actually has to hire you and sign on the dotted line that says, we want her here. So systems do not give people jobs. Companies do not give people jobs. People give people jobs. If that's the case, the best way for you to go about getting a job is to target people. So years ago, many years, because I have a registered trademark because I even put the little R in here. So Job Search Challenge is a registered trademark to me and to Mile Walk Academy, really. But I was trying to think of a way, which I'm not going to, this is going to be like the 3-minute version or 5-minute version of the Job Search Challenge. I have videos on my YouTube channel that are free, a couple of them that if you want to watch, you can get a little bit of a deeper dive. I also have a fully paid program that goes into nauseating details about everything you need to do, all the techniques, all the templates, all the obstacles, how to overcome them. But basically, I was looking for a way to strip down a job search so that a person who was not job searching frequently, which is all of you, hopefully, right? I do this every day in my life, but you should never be doing this if you can avoid it, right? So you don't want to do this. So, and it's very, very difficult to understand where to go, how to apply, all this other stuff. Interviewing's a mess. There's a whole bunch of other things that are counterintuitive. But how could I create a little formula that was easy to follow, that was highly, highly effective, tons of production, and the fastest way to attain your job? And it depends what your goals are, right? You might just be switching companies. I'm an accountant. I just want to be an accountant over there. You might even want to change careers, or you might want to do a slight career pivot. Maybe you're going up, maybe you're going down. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. How could I come up with an effective way to do this so that A, it was effective, B, it was easy to follow, C, it would give you confidence because reaching out to people, even applying or whatever, is not something that many of us are confident in. And what's worse, because people go through job searching using tactics that are wholly ineffective, what also happens, like when you apply online, is you start to think you suck because you're not hearing anything back. And these two are not even correlated in any way, shape, or form. Just like interviewing has nothing to do with how well you actually do your job. So applying online is even worse. So how could I bring this together in an easy to understand format that once you started to get the mechanics down, you would start to feel more confident, you would feel more in control, and you would get better results. So this is it in a nutshell. This is all you need to do. You got to identify companies, and it's better to control your job search by company and not position. Why? 80% of jobs that are actually secured and hired are not even publicized. Wrap your mind around that number, which means if you are only running your job search off publicized job description openings, you are substantially limiting the pool of possibilities. There's no law that says a company has to publish an opening. Most jobs are not publicized. Some are, some are not. Some organizations, there are requirements depending on what they are, who they are, where they do need to post a job, but it's rare few, a smidgen, less than 1% of companies or municipalities or whatever have to do that. So I don't want you to limit your opportunities. And going back to what I said earlier, people give people jobs. You don't know if a boss is willing to swap somebody out for you. You don't know if there's an upcoming position. So number one, where do I want to go? Find 3 organizations. I don't care if they have an opening or not that you can see. I'm not worried about that. Do they need people like you? Check. Good enough. 3. Every day, find 3. If you want on Monday and you want to find 50 companies, that's fine, but I just want you to pick 3 of them on Monday. Next thing is I want you to find 1 person at each of the 3 companies. That's 3 people that you're going to target. Now, you might say, well, Andy, I'm looking. I can't find somebody at the organization who I can send a direct message to. You can always find somebody, because my preference would be to find a boss, because boss hunting is my favorite technique. I'm not going to go into that in this session, but that's my number 1 favorite technique. It's the fastest way to get a job, because you want to go at a person who can actually give you a job. Next best is a teammate. Next best is a recruiter. Next best is an HR person, in that sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, looking and trying to find those individuals at those organizations. But you might say, well, Andy, I can see 4 people. I can see the HR person. I can see the recruiter. I could see who I think might be my boss. I can even see people on her team. But I have a friend who I graduated college with who also works at the company. Awesome. Call that person. Like, pick up the damn phone and call the person, or text them at least, and say, hey, I'm spying your company. I see you work there. How do you like working there? I think I might go into her group. Do you know her? Right? Try to get a referral in. That's cool too. Your college alumni friend, that person counts. That could be one of the 3 people each day. The spirit of what I want you to do is an individual who can take me in the direction of that organization. If it's somebody there, awesome. You can go direct. If it's, no, I want to call Andy because he knows the CEO over at such and such, and maybe Coach Andy will introduce me. That's cool too. That still counts as your 1 of your 3. But 3 companies and 3 people every day. And then I want you to send 3 messages, meaning you actually have to type them out. I have templates for all this stuff, but a message to each of these 3 people about these 3 companies, meaning 1 person at that company that I want to target. So if I have company XYZ and I see the vice president of marketing and I'm in the marketing department and I want to target the vice president of marketing, Coach Andy has boss hunting templates you can grab for free. Actually, Kara, maybe we can drop those in the chat for anybody who's here with us live. If you're watching me on the recording, was at the side, there'll probably be a card up there or something like that, or maybe something in the description. You can grab the boss hunting templates. And then, or you could send messages. The message to your college friend could be, hey, haven't seen you in a while. I noticed you're working at this company. That still counts. That's a message to a human. What isn't on this list? Applying online for jobs. That does not count. It's 0. So any of you, I'm sorry to say, if you said, well, Coach Andy, I've been job searching for 6 months. I've applied to 484 jobs online. I'm hearing dead air, silence. I just found your channel. It's Thursday. It's Halloween. 0. This, so far, in Coach Andy speak, you've made 0 attempts to get a job. I know you've done things that you think will help you find a job. I'm telling you, as far as the challenge goes, it counts as 0. Any applying online, 0. It is not, you do not get points for your daily quota if you apply online. 3 companies a day, 3 people a day, 3 messages a day. Now, some of you are saying, oh God, Coach Andy, that's so simple. Keep trying it. That's 15 a week. That's 15 the next week. That's 60 in a month. Might not sound like a lot, but the cadence is important. The consistency is important. The daily routine is important. Some of you are saying there's no way I'm going to come up with 3. To that, I'm going to laugh as well, because it's easy to come up with the companies. The problem is you're not thinking broadly enough. So there's many, many ways to come up with companies, to come up with the people and what to say with them. All of that is housed inside my Job Search Challenge product. But for purposes of this show, I want you to make sure you're in motion. And you might say, well, why only 3 a day? Well, the first thing is, the first 3 are a test. The second 3 are a test. The third 3 are a test. You might get responses back that says, oh, hey, Susie, thank you so much for this wonderful, thoughtful message. You know what? I'm not actually that person in this company. It's Janie down the hall. Who's Janie? Can you send me to Janie? Great. What's Janie's title? Hang on, I got another one of those. Oh, it's Tom over, and he's same kind of function as Janie. All right, well, now you know you need to adjust the boss. But if you send 50 on Monday or 15 on Monday, you're not going to get that feedback. The other thing is it's overwhelming. You can't keep up that cadence. And here's what a lot of you do. You start going through this process, and 1 in every 7.5 messages should result in an interview. That's telling you you're doing it right. That's just average. That's just average. That's not even great. But let's say you're not even average. Let's say you're half average. Would you take an interview every other week? That's 15. If you were double the average, meaning if you were 1 for 15, would you take that? Some of you are going to be 3 for 5. Some of you are going to be 5 for 10. But just the consistency is what's really important. And a lot of you are going to be nervous and reluctant to do this. So the more you're doing it, the more frequently you're touching these things, the better you'll start to feel, the more consistent you'll start to feel, the more in control you'll start to feel, the more confident you'll become, the faster you'll realize no one is going to bite your head off. And it doesn't matter if you're sending somebody who you don't know a message. Big deal. They don't get back to you, so what? They get back to you and say, we're not hiring? Fine. Can you send me to the recruiter so I can make sure I get this thing on file? What can I do with this right now? Every time you take a step, the most important thing is don't let the chain die. If the chain dies and you don't hear anything back, well, then the chain's dead. But if somebody gets back to you, you want to keep the dialogue going. If they say thanks but no thanks, what can you make of it? Depends what the thanks but no thanks response is. So anyway, I want you to make sure that you are staying in motion. I have loads more information on this. And as a matter of fact, in a couple of months, we're going to be going through a 5-day session with me, but that's not till January. So if you don't want to miss the next 2 months of this year, November, December, I would get in motion. And you can hawk the videos on my YouTube channel if you're in the free domain. If you're a job search coaching program member, also known as a boot camper, you have the Job Search Challenge inside your library. You've got everything in there, including my networking templates and boss hunting Bible. And the boss hunting Bible isn't just the boss hunting templates. It's all the instruction. It's what to send, to whom to send it, all the responses that they could come back with, everything to say to those responses to keep the chain going. Just make sure you stay in motion. Now is the greatest time. And one other bonus tip, and just to echo something I said earlier, is these don't count in the Job Search Challenge because they're not targeted messages, but I would make sure I'm reaching out to friends and colleagues and do this in an additive fashion. So still find your 3 a day, but then are there any other colleagues or friends or old corporate alumni or student alumni that you know that you want to reach out to, people in groups, community groups, whoever it might be. But this is always a good thing to do, but I want you to do it in addition to the Job Search Challenge. All right. I promised myself I'd get that done in 30. It's 29. I'm good with that. I hope you are too. If you're here with me live, we're going to go to the Q&A where you can ask me anything you want. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week.